Salut les amours. Salut les amours. Noir&Nerdy sont de retour. So sorry. It's been a while, guys. We're back. More Interview with a Vampire. We're going to be talking about episode 5 and 6 tonight. Then we'll have 7. Then we're going to go into season 2 with our individual episodes for those new shows. But yeah, it was a while. Sorry, we apologize for the break that we took. Tonight is just me, Joy from Brooklyn, and my girl Kera. Kalila couldn't make it with us tonight, but she'll be back for future episodes. We also had, part of our apology was that, we had some Wi-Fi issues.
Oh my God.
Had went off into the woods, apparently. I didn't know that's how deep into North Carolina I was going. But yeah, I was in the woods and my Wi-Fi was like, no. Wi-Fi no.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. You can't have nature and technology. Like, you have to choose. Choosing is the only way. So I just enjoyed the nature for a week. And then after that, we had the camp. So we were away for that weekend. So then that just pushed us back even further. So again, we apologize for making you guys wait. But we promise now we're going to ramp it back up and get back on clock, because we got a couple of shows that we keep promising that we're going to cover, and probably sneak some movies in there over the summer. But we definitely, we're going to be doing our recap of The Ones Who Live. Then we're going to do a recap of Daryl Dixon season 1 to get ready for season 2. Then we're going to recap the first seasons of From to get ready for the next season of that coming in fall, as well as Found. Season 2 is coming in fall. So that's going to kind of be our summer to get ourselves up to date with that. But we'll have some spaces where we can jump in an old classic movie or something here or there to, bring us, a little extra. So it's not just, you know what? I was like, because actually we kind of been doing a lot of horror action-y stuff. So Found will be kind of our first foray outside of that. So
that's true. Yeah,
that'll be good. That'll be good.
Maybe it can ease us into procedurals and crime dramas and true crime even. You never know. I'm a huge true crime fan. So I know every story there is. When I watch the new ones that come out, I'm like, oh, I know this story already.
You were like, oh, this the one with the people and they did the thing. Like, I heard this one before. I saw this one before. Like, okay.
They were so old that they used evidence from a new crime to solve one that you watched 5 years ago.
People like, damn, they still killing people like this? Again, what? Don't make no damn sense. You would think we going off topic, but I was like, you would think murderers would say, especially ones who want to get away with their murder,
right?
You would think they would say the occasional murderer or the situational murder. If I know premeditated, I'm planning, and a lot of times with the true crime stuff, it's premeditated. So you would think they would be like, you know what, let me watch some true crime so I can figure out what all the ways they use to figure out stuff. No, I'm going to just stab the person, and then I'm going to claim that they got shot, and then I'm going to hide the body and think that bleach is just going to clean. Really? Really? You got to put some effort into killing people. No.
I'm going to drive over here to this dumpster that has 4 cameras pointing at it to throw the stuff away that I just used to commit this crime.
Exactly. I'm going to get on TV and have a press conference, and I'm going to have the most unsorrowful cry. And please bring so and so home. The hell out of here.
Somebody locked them up immediately.
Immediately. Just for the lie. Because that was ridiculous what you did. That was terrible acting. You need to
You
go to
should be
jail just for that
embarrassed.
alone. But yeah,
Okay.
also it's our first episode back since it's June. And I was like, let me put on my gayest shirt.
Why didn't I put my gay shirt on?
I was like, let me put on my gayest shirt. So happy Pride, everybody.
Happy Pride, everybody.
To all who indulge. To all who indulge.
Look, you like,
Yeah. So
look. Speaking of Pride Month, interview with the vampire.
exactly. Segues perfectly. You see? You see? It all see you guys go, we were just rambling nonsensically. It all was a circular motion to get us to where we needed to be. You're welcome.
Always gonna come back together.
You're welcome. You know?
We still are on like a come down recovery, like from the camp. So
Very much.
excuse the silliness and the possible yawns, and I have a whole bunch of weird sinus stuff going on from con crud apparently.
As well. As
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
It's like whenever I go someplace where the air, I live in the tri-state area, so essentially for more than, say 3-4 days, my body relaxes, and it's like, oh, I suddenly feel well. I feel amazing usually when I'm on vacation, not just because of a vacation, but because I don't realize how much pain I'm normally in from my allergies.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just an extra, like, oh, I feel extra blissful on vacation. And then I'm reminded when I get back to, like, fly over Jersey, sail into Jersey. So the minute I hit Jersey, my face starts to hurt, my nose starts to run, my eyes start to burn, I get a tension headache. And I'm like, oh, this is how I live every day? Like, what am I doing? This is chaos. And now this, like you said, you get back home now. There's that adjustment of like, oh, I'm going to be in pain.
Mm-hmm. It was
Plus,
like
my trip is over. God damn it, I was having fun.
mingling, rubbing elbows. Now we got to wait a whole year.
A whole goddamn year. But yeah. So yeah. So episode 5 is called "A Vile Hunger for Your Yammering Heart," and it is directed by, what was his name? Leaving a Kin. And it is written by Hannah Moskowitz. So we left off in 4 with, we had the whole Claudia episode. So
Mm-hmm.
she became a vampire. She's learning about herself in the world with the limited information that Louis can give her and the information that Lestat seemingly will not provide. And how there are 2 different styles of parenting. And
mess and bigger mess. Hot mess and hotter mess.
mm-hmm. It's so funny how children who are the most similar to a certain parent, like at first that kind of immediately clicked, like, oh, you just like me. And then after it's like, oh, you're just like me. And that's like what I feel with Claudia and Lestat is like, now he has someone that challenges him. Like, she has the emotional intelligence of Louis, but she also is ruthless like him.
Mm-hmm.
And she knows how to use those 2 things together. And now that breeds competition for him. It's kind of like that thing where they say, like, your kid grows up and then suddenly they stand up to you. and it's
Mm-hmm.
that chance for them to overthrow you and that nervousness. You know, you usually hear more about in father son relationships, but here it's happening with father daughter or
Mm-hmm.
uncle for the show, daughter relationship, and then Louis kind of like the helpless other parent that's there just watching it. It's like, why can't I love both of you guys? Why can't
Mm-hmm.
you guys just get along and blah? And they're just like, no, like no, because I will win.
Right. Right. I just keep
And
wondering, is it like, I mean, she hasn't even really been with them long enough for like nurture over nature or anything like that. But at the same time, Louis did have, I feel like, while at the same time it was a slight change, it was also a very significant change in his personality when he was turned. And so I'm like, okay, so maybe it could be really she just mixed their two personalities to create this new persona for herself. Or was
mm,
she like this already? It's just kind of always been like
yeah,
a mystery for me.
yeah, because we get to see we got to meet Louis before he turned,
Mm-hmm.
so we were able to see how he changed. We're
Mm-hmm.
learning his evolution in the process. But with Claudia, we don't know anything about who she was and how she behaved before this. So it leaves us that mystery of, like you said, is she really just pulling from her parents' personalities? But then is she also like with all children that they have their own personality? They're born with their own personalities. They have all of that. And sometimes as parents and as adults, when we look at kids, we don't realize that they really are born with their own personality. They come with their own personalities, and your parenting style has to adapt to them if you want to be a good parent, that is.
Yeah. Like
And
a
that's
lot
the
of
thing
people
with
that,
Lestat is like, do you want to be a good parent, or or she was purely just the means of you trapping your man?
right.
You thought,
Um,
oh, he'll do all the work. He'll do all the heavy lifting with her, and I'll just get to have the fun parts where we go out and murder whole families together. Like, yeah, the
you
fun parts.
know, um, I think even though it's only one of her, I think they're getting a very good lesson in like understanding, you don't have a favorite kid, but you do have to adjust your personality and how you interact with them depending on their personalities. So it might
Mhm,
seem like one is a favorite over the other. This time around, there clearly is a favorite because Louis wanted her in the first place. But
mhm,
I think in his own sick, twisted way, Lestat does care about her.
mhm.
He just wants to care about her in the way that he cares about people, which is through control.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's never going to work with her,
Hmm. Yeah,
especially since they wanted to turn her into a damn vampire.
yeah. Especially, damn, that's a, dang, is that a, I think they do make mention that turning someone so young is an issue,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll delve into that more in the future. Um, so again, it's like Lestat broke a rule in order to try to keep his man,
Mm-hmm.
and he knew that doing this would have consequences, and now the consequences are here, and now he's like, oh my god, consequences, like she has no behavior. Well, yeah, that's why the well, to us now, an unspoken rule has been broken. It was like, yeah, that's why.
And we may not have touched on it on this show yet, but when you think about other vampire shows, it's like the unspoken rule in every vampire universe. You just don't turn kids.
Yeah.
You just don't. Like
Hmm.
they still you're either going to catch them right in the middle of that like hormonal outrage
Mm-hmm.
or right before they get to that point. And both of those are horrible in their own way
Mm-hmm.
because you're either going to be stuck with a vampire with a need to grow up and a need to go through these things and they know they never will, or you're going to have one right in the middle of it, which I'm
Or
pretty sure
yeah,
she's.
where they're just like, I'm right in the middle of it, and I'm just gonna be a monster the whole time because
Yeah.
I'm stuck in that the top wave of hormones, and that's just who I'm gonna be forever. So there's that. And you're like, well, you know, and you say to any of us, like, imagine someone saying, like, oh, be a teenager again, like, for the rest of your life. No,
Hell no.
hell's no. Like, that was a terrible
And I mean,
time.
even if it was a later teen, I don't give a damn if I'm 19 and a half. No.
My God. Because you know how people always say, have that thing where it's like, oh, you know, you can keep all your knowledge, but you go back and stuff. And I'm like, I feel like that makes it even worse because you would
Yeah.
be the smart ass kid that knows every goddamn thing, that's trying to tell people, and you know, at that age, people disregard everything you say.
Yep.
So to go back with the knowledge and then know that you know you're right about certain things, and people are just like, yeah, whatever, kid. That's got to be even worse.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what Claudia is stuck in, that
Yeah.
she's growing, she's maturing, but to the world, when they look at her, they still see a child. So they disregard
Mm-hmm.
everything and how she feels. So it's like, this
I
poor
knew
child,
I
woman stuck in a
As soon
child's
as he
body.
did it, I said, "Why would he do that?" I don't watch too many different vampire things. I know this is about to be a mess with a capital S.
So,
Um.
yeah, so we start the episode, and um, Louis feeding on Rashid, and Daniel's sitting at the table like, like, yeah, oh, you always got to make a show of this, and blah blah blah. I do like that Daniel's reaction is kind of disgust,
Mm-hmm.
because so much in media they show humans being romanticized about vampires and drinking
Yeah.
blood and giving yourself into them and being seduced and all that. And I like that he's like, yuck.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what his backstory and what happened the first time during the interview, but
Right.
right now he's like, yuck. Like, ew.
Take
When
that shit elsewhere, please.
no thank you, not interested, disgusted. I just want to do this interview and get the hell up out of here. Leave a little money for my daughters, and you know, and that's it. That's what I'm here for. Be able to pay for my prescription for, you know, my medication. That's all, and my treatment. That's all I'm here for. The rest of this, I'm getting the hell up out of here. Don't need it. But Louis he purposely does that. He purposely feeds in front of him
Mm-hmm.
because he doesn't want him to lose the part of that part of the story. He doesn't want the tale to seduce him.
Right.
So if I'm feeding on people right in front of you, you seeing them get up woozy and wobbly and everything else, now you're like, oh, okay, yeah, he really is draining, they drain people's life forces out of them. And this is one of the good vampires that's sitting across from me because
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't kill anymore. But the rest of them, he's telling me, do. So, you know,
I
like,
mean, this is so far down the line, but I just keep saying to myself, what exactly does Louis think is going to happen when this book comes out?
that's the conversation that I think we're going to come back to that conversation when we get to the end of 7. Because I wrote some notes about that there that are very particular to scenes that happen in episode 5, specifically at the opener of the episode with the
Mm.
feeding and the conversation. Because Rashid says to him, like, he says that, like, you're witnessing something that is going to set something off.
Mm-hmm.
He's writing this story and putting this stuff out, and the vampires are going to come for him from him putting this stuff out there. And I don't think Daniel's paying attention still at this point of what that
Yeah.
means for not just the vampire across from him and the world that he's built, and he's not thinking about what that means for him also being back in this. And when this story comes out, and it's like, you're the one who wrote the story, you don't think
Yeah.
you're gonna have some backlash?
Like I keep saying to myself, he might want to just become a vampire at this point because, bro, they're gonna kill you. They're gonna kill you.
Like, a problem, sir. A very big problem.
hmm
So yeah, yeah. But we'll, at the end of episode 7, when we get to that, we'll come back to some of the pieces in here that were laid that we just don't want them to be too big of a spoiler.
hmm
Um, but I like that that Louis still he wants the story to be out there, but he's still protective of Claudia's story and
hmm
how she's feeling. But it also stems from all parents who care about their kids, that you think you're doing the right thing by them in your actions. You're also growing and evolving yourself while you're being a parent.
hmm
And so that changes the way you look back on things. You're like, oh, I wouldn't have done that and stuff. So even if
Right.
you sit back and say to yourself, like, oh, I wish I hadn't have done that, or that was a little too crazy, yeah, that was too much, or I wish I had have fortified a little more here, or I had have, allowed them to blossom a little more there. You have those moments in your head as a parent sometimes, but it's different when you see your kid say it to you.
Mm.
When your kid is like, yeah, these are the things you weren't great at, and you're
Yeah.
like, damn. So I think with Louis, there's a part where he sat and started to digest those things when he read Claudia's diaries. Versus Lestat was like, I brought you to this world. You should have been happy he was here. and, but we know parents who are like that also. It was just like,
Yeah.
oh, you should be happy you're here. I brought you to this world, and
hmm
I gave you all these opportunities, and blah blah blah. So what? I messed up in some parts, like big whoop. My parents did this to me, and so you get the defense. But I do like that Louis wants to kind of protect some of her memories, but I think it's two-sided. He wants to protect her memories, but he also, it's hard for him to put out there his failures in parenting.
Mm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because Claudia is on a little rampage. As we saw, she's self-harming. But not just that. She's just like, oh, I'm just going to kill, and I'm just writing. She's pretending that she's on a hunger strike. Sneaking out. She's doing the teenager thing. I'm emo. I'm goth. I'm this. Like, I'm anti-establishment. I'm fighting the man. I'm the revolution. Yeah, she's in that phase. And she's like, I'm going to punish my parents and have them think that I'm starving. And I was like, girl, you're not starving. You're killing everybody in town, matter of fact, and not hiding the bodies well. Thinking about, like Louis said, we live in a swampy area. One damn storm comes through and everything is revealed.
hmm
And that's exactly what happened. I was like, this girl.
That's
This
sad.
girl. But again, it's like this situation where you say with children that if you don't teach them about things, they're going to go out into the world and find them out for themselves. So that's exactly what she's doing. Lestat, you don't want to teach me what you know, or I think you know. And
hmm
Louis, I know you don't know anything because you just listening to him. So I can't even come to you to talk about it. Like, you're the only 2 vampires I know, and you both either can't tell me anything or don't want to tell me anything. So I just have to learn by me going out there into the world, figuring out for myself.
It's so messed up because everybody's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Just everybody's wrong. Louis, you don't have the information yourself to teach another vampire anything, so you shouldn't have turned her in the first place. Lestat, you're an asshole. I don't know what there is to say beyond that. You're an asshole. And, Claudia knows killing people is wrong. I think also she can't help herself, but she's still wrong.
Mm. And she knows she's wrong because of the things that she's doing are going to get them exposed. And
Mm-hmm.
that's going to bring complications for them. But again, it's like a kid that, goes out and does the rebellious things. And then when the consequences, they know that a lot of the times those consequences aren't going to come back on them. They're going to roll, their parents are going to have to dig them out of that at some
Mm-hmm.
point in time. So it's like just exactly what happens. Now, we know that these bodies been washed up, and what do we got to do? Let's go to Tom. Let's talk to Tom, who you know damn well I don't want to talk to. She knows
Mm-hmm.
how this man treats her fathers, or her father and her uncle, but now they got to go there and persuade him to tell them what's going on and help them cover up some things and get the tea from him, which of course we see Lestat cannot stand because he does his little time trick and scratches across into the man's face. I'm like, so when Tom came back to the speed, normal speed, this man was just like, ow, on his face, or a lowercase t scratches his face, whatever way he wanted to think about it. Hey, this man just had to live with that on his face for time after that chaos.
He's so petty. What's the I know I'm in the super duper minority, but I just want to punch was that in his.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh my
Um,
god.
yeah, yeah. I hear say, you don't want to punch Lestat in the head.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
there's absolutely moments where you're like, yeah, I'm gonna punch you in your goddamn head. Like you get on my damn nerves. Like you play too damn much. You way too full of yourself. Like then there's this, we're gonna find out in season 2 a little bit more of Lestat's backstory that gives you reasoning for why he behaves the way he does. Not a pass for it, but then you're like, oh, I can see how you came to be this way.
Yeah.
Um, Once again, another reason when people are like, oh, immortality, like I want to be a vampire. I'm like, I don't want to do this for 400 years. Who wants to do this for that long?
The way humanity has made me feel after 42 years.
Said by 8, be like, hey, let's hang. I can't imagine be like, especially for Louis and Claudia to have been black vampires
Right.
in the times when being black was not a good thing to have the experiences of black people were not good during those times. So to live through all of that for that many years.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. First of all, now, right today o'clock, if you turn me into a vampire, it's gonna be a problem. It's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be such a problem.
It's just, yeah. Yeah.
Because those of you who know who you are, I'm taking you out.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so now they get the tea from Tom that the head of the police chief or something like that, he out closing businesses and causing problems and shit, but he's out gambling and at the whorehouses also. So,
Mm-hmm.
bribable, but they're too late for it at this point because now here comes the cops sniffing around their house and they're finding out that Claudia has been keeping little mementos all over the damn place of body. This child. You got a whole rotten man in this house. This man half a you drinking him? Are you drinking this man? He this flies on him. Vampire parent that it would have came out of me. I'm like, really? You couldn't get fresh blood. You drinking this man got maggots grown on him. That's what you drink from maggoty people.
In the house.
In the house.
Why? Why is it in the house?
Yeah. You
Get it
got
out my
him
damn
in
house.
this rotted, bloated corpse ish of a man front.
And he fucking stink.
Yeah, that's one of the times when the little stat would have been fighting to not come out. I was like, "Who fight it? Fight it! I'm about to put your head into a wall." Cause are you serious? In this
No
nice bedroom
punishment.
that I made you,
Get in the coffin
when your
for a
little
week.
bed
I'm
turns
done
into
with
the
you.
coffin and stuff, you flip the whole wall around. This what you got in the closet. This what you got in the wardrobe. Okay. That was exactly one of the times when Lestat was like, deal with her. And I was like,
Yeah.
damn, I'm on Lestat's side. Yeah, deal with her. Because if I say something or if I go over there, it's not going to be nice. Yeah, yeah.
Do
That's what.
vampire limbs grow back? Because I'm about to rip one of hers right off.
Oh. But then, when Claudia has her breakdown moment and says that I'm like, all the days that she's feeling like I can't experience this. I don't get to see that. No one will give me answers. Louis discovers then that she's self-harming. And she's just like, I'm the band-aid that you thought was going to fix your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And now you realize that I'm a full-fledged person, vampire, but I'm my own person. And you're not, you use me to be a bomb for your relationship without any regard for how I'll feel about anything. I'm supposed to
Who
just live my life and just be happy that I'm keeping you two happy.
who adopts a teenage psychopath? And when I say teenage psychopath, I mean any of them, because that is what they are. All those damn hormones going
No,
through
we're
their
not saying
body.
adopt them children. Them go. Hey, people, go out there and adopt them children. if you have the temperament to take a teenager in, you take that teenager in. Don't
You
listen to
take them.
Kara.
You take them. Take them.
Take them children
But
in.
I'm just
Them babies
saying.
need homes, okay? You know what? Honestly, like if I was to adopt a child or foster a child or something, it would be a teenager. Like I can't start back with a little kid. A little
Now
kid,
listen. Oh yeah.
I
You
can't
said
do it.
you said send her. You said I thought you said you didn't. Okay.
No, I did not. I want to sleep through the night. That's why need. I need to be able to sleep through the night. Even though teenagers will have you stressed out,
Yeah.
where the hell they at and what time they gonna get in and are they answering their phone and who are they with when they say they're out and everything else. But you kind of just gotta be like, I hope that all the lessons I gave them leading up to here are strong enough to keep them, and that's the testing phase. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it would be a little trickier with a child that's adopted as a teenager because you didn't get to lay that foundation with them, so now you're like, I don't know what you're gonna do when you're out there.
I
So
just listen. I'm good with teenagers. I used to gather up all the teenagers and hang out with them and give them stuff to do. Like I'm that type of parent, aunt,
mhm.
whatever you want to call it. But everybody's not built like that.
Yeah, yeah,
And teenagers can smell fear on you.
yeah, they can.
So
That was my specialty.
I'm saying don't waste their time. Be ready when you adopt them.
Yeah, because you
Because
got to put in work. You got
yeah.
to put in work. Because, like you said, there's so many people that think that they can. Oh, I think I could do this, and then they get put to the test and they immediately crumble. Like you have to be in for the long haul and be
Hmm.
ready for the attitude and the hormones and I think I know everything. You gotta be ready for all of that. I'm not paying no attention to you. I know you think you know everything, but I'm going to teach you some more things. And, I'm just going to be here for when you fall to pick you back up because you will fall. And I want you to know that I'll be here when you fall, type of thing.
Hmm.
That's all you can do. Um,
The worst thing you could do is let a teenager get bored and then try to figure out on their own how to cure that.
hmm
um, okay, so I, for some reason, didn't write down her boyfriend's name.
Oh, Charlie.
Charlie.
Charlie? I believe it was Charlie. believe it was Charlie.
Which, I mean, I knew what was going to happen with Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, in its own way, that it was sweet of her to try, but I just knew.
Yeah. And well, she doesn't bring it up. Lestat brings up when his asshole self reads her damn diaries, and she talks about uh her hymen and
Mm.
how, is it going to grow back every time and stuff. And he's like, ew, disgusting. And I was like, very gay man. Female body. Like, like, calm down, okay? Down, okay? Jesus Christ.
Get a grip, sir.
You know, grip. I'm like, you don't have to go there, but you don't gotta act like, like
Right.
Nosferatu just, thinking about, like, what. Calm down. Like, sir, please. but, but Claudia does, when they have that whole argument, she does say, like, which one of y'all gonna fuck me? Cause y'all got a thing going on here. You telling me I can't go out in the world. There's no other I don't want to meet the other vampires out in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also tell me that there's nothing for me here with you two. So what am I supposed to do with that? So, Claudia does with a lot of kids either do or contemplate doing, runs away. So that's different from the books. Claudia doesn't do that. She just, digs in deep into her studies, and she remains there while she's in her studies, but she kind of learns how to navigate the world as a child, because, the difference with Claudia in the books versus the series. The series, Claudia is 14,
Mm-hmm.
and in the books, Claudia was 6.
Mm-hmm.
So she learns how to navigate the world as appearing as a 6-year-old, and be able to hunt and travel and get the information she needs, pretending that she's with a parent that's right up the way, or pretending that she, there's some reason that she's allowed to be out, or my ma is right in the shop right here while I'm here
Mm-hmm.
at the library. So she finds other ways to navigate that world, but we get it with Claudia leaving, and we see Louis's despair, and he becomes a full on hoarder, a damn pack where I'm like, sir, clean this house. What is happening here?
I knew Lestat was gonna lose it when he stopped.
He was sitting there and someone was crawling under the newspaper, and he just grabbed it, bit into it, and threw. I said, you have lost your damn mind. Lestat, get him to the lady. He needs to go see the lady. If
Immediately.
there's a vampire psychiatrist, you need to get him there. Cause no, this is crazy. You sitting in here act like this is normal. This is not normal. And Lestat ain't no better. You know what? It makes me actually think about, like, episodes of Hoarders where there's like a couple, and one of them is the hoarder in the relationship, and the other one's not, and the other one, like, escapes and goes other places. They got
Mm-hmm.
their other thing going on so that they can escape that world, but they still come in and live there and climb over the things together and stuff. But then they go off someplace else. And you say to yourself, like, why aren't you helping him clean? Why aren't you helping
Mm-hmm.
him get these things together? Why are you just letting it just fester like this? Like, this is crazy.
This is why I'm like, I think this, I don't know, this might have been the tipping point for me with Lestat to be like, you know what? I'm done with your ass. I'm done with your ass. Click, pick something up off this damn floor.
On the damn floor. And then we get the flip side of that is Claudia, and she's out, and what happens to her while she's out.
Oh, yeah.
So she meets new vampire, Bruce, who appears like he's, college student that's, coming to help her on the campus, and ooh, let me talk to you about what things I know. And we already know, like, that's what Claudia's been looking for this whole time. She's looking for
Mm-hmm.
connection. So she knows she's not going to get the type of connection she wants from her parents. So she meets this new vampire and she automatically, like, oh, let me go along with this guy and let me play, tough girl and, you know, all of that. But then she quickly realizes that she's in over her head. So, yeah, fuck you,
It's like, who
Bruce.
turned this disgusting person into a freaking vampire?
Exactly. You know what? It makes me think about, you know, we always bring stuff back to the Walking Dead universe and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that there are, rapist characters and other assorted weirdos in that universe. And there's always people who are like, oh, well, one of their biggest excuses when you say, like, oh, they're a horrible person, they'll be like, well, society fell. So,
Like, why?
you
What
can't expect
difference
the
does that
rules.
make?
You can't expect the rules of a civilized society to go. Like, why is that your first go to when the world falls? Is like, oh, the world fell, so now I can do this unabashedly. And that's what it seems
Right.
like Bruce is one of those where it's like, oh well, I was already probably a weirdo before all of this. And now the laws of humans don't apply to me. So I can do whatever I want. And that included torturing and assaulting Claudia.
Like, why is attacking women one of the first rules that you want to throw out the window because society fell?
Exactly. That's always the thing. Like, society has fallen. We don't have to protect women and children anymore.
Right.
Like, why is everything that falls in society always, like you said, it always relates back to the protections of children and women don't apply anymore? It's like, where's your humanity? Why are laws and rules and the possibility of punishment the only thing that keeps you from doing heinous things?
Like I told that guy on Twitter the other day, let's make sure all the women in your neighborhood are safe at all times because
Mm-hmm. Just terrible. So again, we go back to the interview with Daniel and Louis, and he's pulled pages out of the book. And Daniel wants to see those pages, and he's like, I'm not showing you those pages. Because you've already told me that when the story gets out into the world, it's going to be twisted into whatever the world feels. So why
hmm
would I give you those pages? Why would I give you those pages about what happened to her, what she endured? Why would I put those things out there?
hmm
Because Louis not dumb. He knows in our society, in the society, because this takes place during. It was like it took place during the pandemic that this interview took place. Occurred. So at that place and time, he knows what women's places are still in society. He knows how people react to women coming forward and telling these stories, girls coming
hmm
forward and telling these stories, particularly black girls coming forward and telling about the things these when sexual assaults happen to them. You think
hmm
he's like, I'm not gonna sit here with this man and tell him these things so he can put them into the story and then the world can now judge my daughter even more? Like, I already put her through enough. Why would I put her
hmm
through any more of that? So, not saying it was right, but when he did that shake thing to Daniel's hand and I was like, you wrong. It's wrong. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I get it because it's like, I'm telling you, that's the one thing, like, I'm willing to tell you a lot of things, like, about my life. Like, I'm willing to tell you about my life. That's what the story's here about. My life and what my experiences are or were as a vampire and, up to becoming one. So now that you're trying to push forward into like, oh, let me know this personal detail about my daughter who's clearly not here to tell it for herself to decide whether she wants it to be told. No, I'm not giving that to you.
hmm I
I'm
think
not giving that to the world.
one of his biggest problems is he's probably still not looking at her like his daughter. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like if that's how you're gonna come into it, you're gonna hit those walls because that's his daughter and he's gonna treat her like that. So
Mm-hmm.
anything yet that you do to try to disrespect that part of the story is you still dealing with a vampire, man.
Exactly. That's what I think too. That Daniel forgets a lot of times. Is like he feels like because he survived that whatever the first encounter was in the
Hmm.
70s, that now his maturity and what he's gained and the knowledge that he has now and what his perception of life is at this point, he's like, yeah, I'm mature and blah blah, blah. And so now I can say whatever to you because I'm not scared because I'm facing death right now.
Hmm.
But it's like, yeah, you're facing death from an illness. You're not facing death from getting your face ripped off. Like, that's two different things. Those are two different things,
Yeah.
sir. Two different things.
I always wonder if Claudia would like him.
Oh, Daniel. One to two, yeah. I think they would go back and forth.
Hmm.
They would go back and forth. But I think ultimately he would be impressed with her.
Hmm.
He would be impressed with her. Now, I think the fact that he would respect her once they had their back and forth, that that would make Claudia kind of respect him also.
Hmm.
Because he wouldn't sugarcoat things with her. And that's the
Right.
thing that she got with Louis. The harshness with Lestat, I think that with Daniel, it would soften when he got to hear her story from her perspective. That he would
Yeah.
soften the way in a way that Lestat never softened to her, and that would make her be like, "Oh, okay, he's adaptable."
The
And it
way
was
he
like, "All right, I
reacts
won't rip his
to
head off."
right. The way he reacts sometimes to certain parts of her story like bothers me because I just feel like literally anything he hears about her is not her fault. Like I know I said everybody was wrong earlier and I meant it, but at the same time, it's Louis' fault that she was in the situation that she was in the first place to even have like her family be dead and the house be on fire and all. Like that wasn't caused by her. She didn't ask to be turned into a vampire. She didn't
Mhm.
ask to be turned into a vampire by Louis and a jackass. Like all of the things that he's hearing about her to me should cause like a more empathetic reaction, and he has a visceral reaction to hearing about her sometimes, and I'm
Mhm.
just like, what is your problem?
Yeah, like you said, with some people, just even though she, grew to be a grown woman in the body and stuff, but a lot of the mentality was still that of a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot, like you said, a lot of people don't have the empathy for kids, or they look
Mm-hmm.
back at themselves when they were teenagers. They're like, "Oh, I was a full jackass," so they just disregard then anything other
Yeah.
children say or the experiences of other children because they're like, oh, you thought you knew everything, but wait until you get 30, 40, 50, 60, your perspective would be different. I'm like, yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in it, you're in it.
Right. Even the
Uh,
perspective I have now is so different than when I had 4 or 5 years ago. Like, it just certain things. It's so weird. Like certain things you just don't get until you reach a certain age.
yeah. So then we get Louis. Oh, Grace. What is and her husband? What is his name again? I forgot. But they meet him at the cemetery to tell him that they're moving away.
Oh yes, yes, yes,
So
yes,
on
yes, yes.
top of Claudia's gone, now the last human connection that you have, even though you burnt that bridge with your sister Grace, but she was still there. She was still near. She was
Mm-hmm.
still around. That even if she looked at you like, you
Yeah.
know, I always felt like Grace was the one part of Louis' family that she was still always waiting for him to come back.
Yeah.
She was still always waiting for him to come back. Even when the moments where she would look at him in disgust or fear, or you know, it always felt like she was just waiting for him to like get himself together and come and just confess all the truths to her.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe she would have opened up to him.
Like at times it seemed like, she just really didn't want to be bothered with what he became. But at other times, it really just seemed like he should have just told her the truth.
Hmm.
I think that with that relationship that they had with each other and then them losing their brother, yeah, she deserved the truth.
And
Whether
then
she believed it or not,
mhm.
whether she liked it or not, give her the opportunity to make a decision for herself.
It's the thing that's hard about it, because with their upbringing being so religious, would it be something that she would ever
Right.
be open to? And in the book, it's explored with, Dad, what is that character's name? Oh, I forgot her name. But there's a woman in the book that we talked about in the last episode, where I said about how Louis had the relationship with her, and he eventually does reveal himself to her, and she goes ape shit crazy. She goes goddamn crazy. Because she's like, oh my God, I've been communing with the devil. I've been taking advice from him, because everything he was telling her before that was like he would whisper it to her in a dark place and tell her not to look at him and blah, blah, blah. And so she followed his directions, and her family prospered after Lestat killed the brother. But then when Babette, I think her name was, but then he eventually reveals himself to her, because they have to take refuge in her house. And so he eventually reveals himself, thinking like, oh, okay, like I've helped her all these times, and I've improved her life. Like I can finally reveal this to her, and she should accept it and stuff. And no, she was like, get the pitchforks. And she was like, oh my God, I've been taking advice from the devil. The devil himself. And he's trying to like, no, 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 no. Like, calm down. Like, I really genuinely was trying to give you good advice, and I did help you and your family. And she's like, no, Satan, get back. And she's doing all of that and stuff. And she eventually goes full on batshit crazy, where people in town are talking about her like, yeah, that woman crazy as hell. And she lives the rest of her days being crazy and like getting institutionalized.
That's
I'm
messed
trying to
up.
remember huh?
That's messed up.
Yeah. So that's the thing, is like, damn, like, if he told Grace, could that have been her fate? So was it better to just allow her to just have this upset for him, and for her to move away with her family and not have the proximity to him and the chaos that was still going on in his life and the whispers? Because also, years are going by, she's aging, the kids is growing up, your brother still looked the same damn way.
Yeah.
Everybody in town is talking about it. Everybody knows. So she's a part of the whispers and the gossip in the town also. So
Mm-hmm.
it is kind of the best for her to move away. But we just, it was just heartbreaking for Louis, because Claudia's already gone. And now the one last human connection he has is gone. And
And she
it's
left
just
him.
annoying, because you're like, oh, don't let the things that Lestat say be right.
And she killed him before she left. I
I
said, oh,
told,
damn, she figured out a way to kill him.
I
He could
told.
visit his own grave.
Yeah, she said, I don't have time for this nonsense with
Mm.
you. She's like, I'm like, girl, you done built the whole mausoleum, and just like, hey, this is you. I don't know what you're up to, but it's something nefarious, and so I'm just gonna tell everybody you died, and this is when you died. So just in case you need to know,
You die.
you died, and this is what I'm telling everybody. He's like, wow, crazy.
I would have added in, and if anybody saw you walking around these last 20 years, I'm going to just tell them it was a hallucination.
Like, that was my brother. My brother ain't got no green, sparkly eyes. He got brown eyes, okay? Like, y'all don't know what you're talking about. So little do we know that Claudia was in the weights listening to the whole exchange. She had already started to make her way home, and she sees that exchange there, and that kind of emboldens her even more to go home and to, be like, surprise, I'm back.
Mm-hmm.
And, comes in the house like, oh my God, what is going on in here? But also, I'm sorry. Like what kids often do, they go out and
Mm-hmm.
they experience the things that you were trying to warn them against. Now they experience those things and they're like, oh, you were right about the things that you were trying to keep me safe from. It's just the method that you used to try to keep me safe wasn't necessarily the best one. Because, just saying, stay away from them boys is not going to help stop you from
Right.
getting pregnant. Like, you got to tell me some things here. Like, there's some other things about anatomy, about love, about emotion. All of those things need to come into play. But when parents do that all or nothing thing, they're like, okay, there was some lessons that I should have learned in there, but the way you were trying to teach them wasn't the right way.
Mm-mm.
So,
So it took me maybe 2 watches to realize like how much time went by in this episode. I know I heard someone say they had to be underground for 7 years,
mhm.
but I feel like a decent amount more time than just the 7 years went by, right?
I was trying to think. I was like, was that in the following episode?
I don't know.
Or
I
is
wrote it
that in
down
this
on this
one?
one.
Oh, okay, okay. So I guess that's when the house turned into a damn hurricane because in that process of the time that she was gone,
Mm-hmm.
a damn mess.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
So
Yeah, I
Claudia
wrote
comes back
down.
and she's like, "Hey, I'm back. Sorry, I shouldn't have just left like that. There were things I needed to learn about the world. You were right. Vampires are terrible." And instead
Mm-hmm.
of Lestat, again, here's another asshole moment. Instead of Lestat saying, "Oh my God, I'm sorry, my daughter had to go out there and experience these things," he's like, "I told you, I will punch you in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Will punch you in your head." And Claudia knows damn well also that she comes back and you want to steal Louis away. You gonna say it right in front of Lestat? Huh? It's not your fault. It's not her fault what happens after that. But why would you say you already knew from before that the reason that you became their child and that you're in the equation anyway because Lestat is trying to keep Louis. And you
Mm-hmm.
know that this whole time that he's been laying here in despair all these years, you come back and you gonna say it in front of him? Hey, I'm sorry for running away, and you were right about the vampires, but also I came here for Louis. I came to take him away from you because you're a terrible person. And Daddy Louis, get your shit. We're getting out of here. Girl, there are better ways. There are better ways.
I'm like,
Because what did she think he was going to do?
so I'm guessing she wasn't taught about like you're still a baby vampire. All this trying to stand up to people
Mm-hmm.
that's way older than you in a vampire universe is just ridiculous at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we're gonna learn something about that in this scene. Because she's like, "Come with me, Daddy Louis. Let's run away. He's terrible. We shouldn't be with him. And he's manipulative, and he's not trying to teach us anything. And he's not trying to help our lives be better." Which she's completely right. But what? Don't say it in front of the crazy person. Don't say it in front of the crazy person and not be ready for the response. And of
Right.
course, he grabs Claudia up, and then of course Louis going to intervene because get your hands off my daughter and
Mm-hmm.
domestic violence, like domestic violence. violence.
Yeah,
Like,
I am
yo,
sick
like,
of
oh my
Lestat's
God.
ass.
It's it's a hard scene.
I'm so sick of his ass.
It's hard. It's hard. It's heartbreaking. It makes you think about, like, anyone you've ever known
And
who's
I'm
been in a
like,
domestic
you know,
violence situation. Like the hopelessness, like the scare, the fear, the the not knowing
and
whether they're gonna make it out of this situation, whether they should fight back or whether they should submit. What's the thing that's gonna get, you know, them into a safer place, even if it's just for a few
right.
moments. And Louis does that because, when the fight ends up upstairs and he's just like, Claudia, just stay out the way,
Mm-hmm.
just let him take this out on me because I don't want you to get hurt. And it's just crazy, like, when you think about, like, how someone can be an abuser and then say, like, they love the person that they're with, and he just beat him, knowing, like you said. So again, we found out that, vampires who are older not only learn some tricks or evolve into having other skills, um, but their strength is greater the longer that
Mm-hmm.
they live. And so he exacts that all onto Louis, beating this man to a pulp, dragging him by with fingers tucked under his chin down the damn alleyway, and then you can fly.
Right. So all this time you
So,
just
as they call it,
decided
the cloud gift.
nobody needs to know this.
It's one of those.
Ridiculous.
It's annoying because when Lestat gets him up into the air, and now he's looking at him like I love you, and you're like, oh my God, like, this is. I feel like it's when someone who's been in a domestic violence situation says, like, that they, how, like, they'll get back into the relationship. And from the outside, the rest of us, we're all like, why would you go back? Like, this is crazy. Like, look what
Mm-hmm.
the person did to you. But it's kind of that moment of sincerity that Lestat has while he's up there in the air, where he's just like, I love you. Like, I've always loved you. Like, I love you so deeply, his deep. And I think that, even though it's immediately followed up with a cruelty, you drop me back to earth, knowing that it's going to physically damage me, harm me, give me nightmares
Mm-hmm.
psychologically, mentally. Like, that it's going to do all these things to me, but it's always prefaced with that moment of, like, I love you. And that's the thing that the victim goes back to.
I don't like him.
Yeah.
This
Yeah, the way
whole
the episode ends is like,
this whole
there's no way for you to be like, oh, but that's not that. And you're like, yeah.
I was like, are, do they want us to like Lestat?
I like I like that they change. Okay, because I talked about it before in the other episodes that Lestat in the book, immediately Louis is kind of like disenchanted by him. But I like
Mm-hmm.
here that they keep him still in it. Like, he's still wanting to be
Yeah.
um with Lestat, even when he's not willing to tell this man that he loves him, when he's not willing to, like, even though he's not saying all these things, he's still essentially, like, choosing him. But because
Mm-hmm.
it's not being relayed to Lestat in the way he wants it to be. And it kind of comes into our modern day, where we talk about love languages and, you
Mm-hmm.
know how people express love differently, but we come into it expecting it the way we think it should look. And when it doesn't meet those standards, then issues arise. But yeah, this is not an episode where you're like, oh, Lestat is likable. But I think that that's the whole
Mm-mm.
point, that especially with the story that Louis is telling, is that that he thought being a vampire was going to help him escape the cruelties of being human, and they're all still there, and even magnified in lots of
Mm-hmm.
ways. And I think that's one of the messages that he's trying to get out there for humans to see. But yeah, what's that? Like, yeah. Yeah.
Crazy because I'm trying to think of how to put it in, like, he really just makes Louis look like a saint.
Mm-hmm.
Like, comparing the things that they've done that may be considered wrong or whatever, it's like Louis is a saint compared to this guy.
But also, we've got a tiny glimpse of another vampire outside of this, and we're like, oh, the cruelties can be even harsher.
Yeah.
So that was like perfect having Bruce in this episode, because it gave, like, a fuller scope of, you know, what things vampires are capable of doing.
Mm-hmm. Just because they can.
Yeah. And again, it's like, yeah, it speaks to the, again, power dynamics and relationships and situations, friendships, parent parenting, all of those dynamics all come into to play in this. So yeah,
It's really
it was a
crazy that
yeah.
this is like a middle episode, kind of, because all the shit that happens in this episode, like decades of shit happen in this episode. And I'm like, you literally see the complete destruction of their relationship. You see the full, like, from adoption to I'm sick of your shit situation between them and Claudia.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you see Louis lose his damn mind. Lestat, I don't know if he ever had his. It's just pretty packed. This was a pretty packed episode. And then you end it wanting to rip Lestat's head off.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how we end many of the episodes. Let me think.
Like you said, it ends where you're like, damn, this is episode 4. I mean, no, this is episode 5. You're like, wait a
Mm-hmm.
minute, we got 3 more episodes. How are we gonna get? How are we gonna get where this continues? Like, with the behavior that's happening right now,
Mm-hmm.
but it goes right into, DV situations with, the cycle of it. It leads right into that. So
Bitches.
now we're going to talk about episode 6. Episode 6, the penultimate episode for season 1, which was titled Like Angels Put in Hell by God, directed by Colleen Abert. Oh, no, written by Colleen Abert. And it's still directed by Lavin Akin. So, yeah. So how do we start this episode again? Oh, we're seeing the aftermath of the domestic violence. And,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not making, and for anybody out there, I'm not making light of the situation. There's a video of this man that was talking about, someone was talking about a DV situation, but they weren't describing it that way. And he's like, oh, domestic violence. It's like a Latino brother that's saying it and stuff. And so it just kind of became like meme worthy. And so, yeah,
Mm.
that, how Black people, we often try to find, when it's a hard subject, we often
Humor.
try to find like some humor in it, or we flip it around,
Mm-hmm.
our tragedies, life's tragedies, the world's tragedies, and we try to find something humorous
Mm-hmm.
and the coping mechanism. Um, so much is the same with Louis. Claudia is not on that shit because she's watching her
Mm-hmm.
parent have to heal from not just the physical scars, but the mental and psychological, and him having nightmares of being dropped from the sky, him being beaten by someone he loves when he especially didn't think that that was something that was going to happen right there in that moment. Because you think about it from Louis' perspective. He goes out because his sister calls him. He gets to the cemetery. His sister dumps him. He's already heartbroken because his daughter is gone. And
Mm-hmm.
then you get that split moment of happiness where you come home and your daughter's back. And you're like, oh my gosh, she's back. Like, this something good came out of this. And then the person that says they love you is now beating you to a bloody pulp. You can't see out of your eye, and ribs are broken, and contusions, and can't hunt. So now the child has to become the parent in the situation. So Claudia's trying to clean the damn house. She's trying to hunt for him. Um, she's trying to keep Lestat's ass away,
I do
and
like that. That
she's hoping that this is the moment that Louis is going to see Lestat for who she's
yeah.
seen him for as the whole time.
Mm-hmm. I do like that he has like a normal healing time.
Yeah, because
It's not
we get
normal in the
another
fact
time
that
jump in this.
yeah. But you could tell like it's taken him a long time to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the whole time Lestat's sending him presents and trying to weasel his way back.
Abusers normally do, because he's flipping this
I,
whole thing into like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I should have never done. I let this get out of control. I've given you time to heal. I stayed away. But I want you to know that I still love you. And you know what? I hope that you're willing to move forward with me. But in the meantime, he's off gallivanting with Antoinette's ass.
of course.
Because you don't
Of
think your
course.
penance for doing this, if you really honestly are like you've changed and you want to be better and all these things, shouldn't your penance be that you're by your goddamn self,
Mm-hmm.
working on yourself? But as usual, it's back to like the dynamic in their relationship in the beginning. I'm buying you things. I can provide you with the
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle and the stature that you like, and those are the things that I think will keep you. So again, a good shift from the books where Lestat is the poor one and Louis the rich
Mm-hmm.
one. Um, this helps form much more of the codependent relationship. That
Mm-hmm.
in the books you're like, why Louis? Just leave his ass. Like, just leave. Go away from him. Like, what are you still being bothered with him for? He's leeching off of you. You got his sickly father here, and this whole weird shit that's going on there in the books. Like, this whole weird thing is going on here. It's like, just leave. Why are you putting up with this shit? Especially if you were immediately disillusioned when you became a vampire by his answers.
Right.
So this flip makes the relationship lasting as long as it does make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
But Claudia is not with the shit, and she's like, I don't care you brought a new car here. What is this crap?
Don't care. Don't
You gonna
care.
come bringing this new car? She was like, I'm going to scratch the side of the paint job on this new car. He really, and that's the thing too, that it's like, again, you're trying to weasel your way back in, and you don't even have the decency to realize like Claudia would be your key to getting back in with Louis. You're just gonna completely ignore her. I got us
Mm-hmm.
both matching cars. My car is this color, your car is that color. Okay, what about Claudia? You just can't act like this girl don't exist.
Mm-hmm. That's what started the mess in the first place.
They don't listen. They're like, okay, you don't learn, sir. You don't learn.
Okay, so in the current universe, Daniel has a new doctor. I was trying to think of his name and it's just not coming to me.
Because he's
Oh
like, I'm
shit.
not here.
Oh yeah, I'm not here. I think I named him Doctor I'm Not Here because that's all he said.
He's like, oh, so yeah, you got that, Doc? I didn't hear anything because I'm not here. Like, I don't know anything. I don't know what you talking about. I ain't hear none of that stuff. I don't know. And I'm like, and that's exactly what you do when you're dealing with vampire. I don't know nothing. I came here to do it. I haven't seen a damn thing. I don't know what the hell is going on here. All I know is I have the Parkinson's medication. That's all I know.
Yep.
That's all I know. Again, it's one of those moments where you feel like the show is doing this. There's this push and pull with you with Lestat. Like you want it's like, oh, you guys want me to like him. Oh, okay. And then
Mm-hmm.
they have him do the most dastardly deed. And you're like, oh. And then they just continue to repeat that cycle. So again, we get the final gift of the album. Because you remember he writes the album for him. Come to Me is the song. Oh yeah, San
Mm-hmm.
Diego Comic-Con. I posted a picture on my Twitter account when we live tweeted the other day that was one of the things they gave away when you did the interview with Vampire Experience at San Diego Comic-Con in 2023. And
Oh.
so it's the actual music written for the song. And they gave it to you like a little, open up so you could put it on your piano and play it if you know how to read music, which
Look,
I do not know how to do.
did you have to angrily swim to return it? That's why I was looking at you like that, like this fool.
But those times, like, you were like watching it, and then if you just think about putting yourself in that situation, your partner that you and them are not together because even if it was just not, if it was just say it was just a simple disagreement that you guys had, and then your partner is saying, "I want to win you back. I want to win you back," and then they write you a song, you're like, "Oh, that's beautiful." You put the album on, like, man, you listen to it, you're like, "Okay, oh, this is beautiful." Wait a minute, who's that singing? I know that's not the side bitch singing. Did you press me a record with your side bitch singing a song? And so
Oh,
yeah.
for those of you on audio only, we've shaken our head about 100 times during this 10 minutes that we've been
It's like, you should keep your hands to yourself, but this is one of those situations where, like, yeah, I would have swam across the damn ocean because I'm gonna beat your ass when I get there. I'm going to beat your ass when I get there. But again, Lestat, the master manipulator, he knew exactly what it was gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't see him this whole time, and he needed to do something so egregious that it would get his attention. So the simple gifts are not enough. I need to get you furious that you can't ignore me anymore. And that's exactly what he did. Because this man just swam across the damn swamp to come to get there to confront him. Here's Lestat, like, you swim? I will punch you even harder in your head. Like, that's
I'm
like,
trying to
look at my
figure out
cock.
weapon
My cock is not laid
what
down
weapon
no
I
more.
would
You
have
see
brought
all
with
the
me.
curls in there. I'm gonna have to get a new hot comb through this again.
I would have had to either shoot him or stab him. I don't know. But I would have had to do something.
Get something. Cause I'm like, no. No. And then I get here and you laid and you sat in the bed with this bitch. But you crying about you want to get back with me. But we go back to, the fashion, the, horrible mindset of some people in relationship where it's just like, oh, you still want me, even though you got this other person right here. Like, oh, you put her out? Oh, you put her out? Like, oh, I'm so mad at you. And yeah, they angry sex themselves right back into another damn situation.
Just, uh. First of all, How many years was this dummy gone?
I can't even remember at that point. I'm in my head 3 is sticking out, but I feel like I'm like I can't remember exactly. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out either. Not not specifically,
Mm-hmm.
but it was definitely some years.
Mm-hmm.
Which gets me every time. Like, but I guess, it's not really supposed to matter because no one ages and time probably moves differently for them. But I'm like, all these damn years going by, and he's still not healed mentally.
Mm-hmm.
Still.
Yeah, even still, like even as he's telling this story to Daniel, Louis clearly not healed from any of this.
Mm-hmm.
And so you wonder if that's a part of what he initially set out for in 1973 to do when he first started the interview, that he thought it would be
Mm-hmm.
healing for him. And then he realized he was perhaps not ready, too temperamental for it. It was the wounds were still too fresh, even with all that time that passed. And
Mm-hmm.
so now he's deciding to give it a go again, which again prompts another question for us. It was like, why does Louis want to tell this story so bad? And why is he willing to tell this story when clearly his safety is going to be in jeopardy by telling this story? Like, that's the question that Daniel should be asking.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that that's what Daniel's eventually going to ask him. Um, because he's so focused, I feel like right now, on like pulling the details of the story out, that
Mm-hmm.
he's not getting the full, like, what does Louis want from this, and why is Louis willing to put himself into this danger that's going to come from putting this story out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is his aim?
And again, when is Daniel gonna realize that? Because I know he likes to feel like, oh, he's not afraid of the situation because he's battling death. But like you said, not I'm about to rip your face off, death.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or worse, because you've
Oh,
clearly heard that vampires can do worse than just immediately kill you. So, sir, why? Sir, why?
yeah.
Okay. But
Mm.
so Lestat and Louis are back together, and they're going to try to give this one more try. Even though Claudia is like, "Have you lost your goddamn mind?" Yes, clearly Louis has. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they finally now this time like, "Oh, okay, if you're gonna let him back in, there's got to be rules. So you can't be lying to us. You can't be sneaking around. You need to tell us the truth about all the things you're up to. We're going to tell you all the things we're up to." And that's supposed to bring the peace that is going to make them back into a family. Well, we know damn well 2 of them people are just doing it just so they can hold on to Louis. Like, everybody
Mm-hmm.
loves Louis, and everybody wants Louis to be connected to them, and so they just go along with whatever. Like, I'll put up with you because it's for Louis. Because Lestat tells that whole story. Yeah, because, yeah, we get some more of Lestat's backstory. Because he's just like,
Oh
yeah, how
yeah.
he. Um, I'm trying to remember. Damn. I actually have to look and see if that is in Interview with a Vampire, or if we don't get that until the Vampire Lestat book. I can't remember if that part of his backstory. I think we don't get that until the Vampire Lestat,
I didn't
where he
think.
tells how he's made.
Yeah. Yeah, that is later.
Yeah, we don't get that into that. So we get a little extra tease, because we had already got one in what was that, like episode 2 or something, maybe episode 1, where he's
Oh.
talking about his father and the cruelties of his father and brothers, and how he was involved in the church, wanted to be a priest himself. Um, how his mother spoiled him to some extent. Um, but the cruelties of his father and his brothers are what broke him out of that, stopped him from being able to pursue the things that he wanted. And now we find out, whatever flash forward in his life from those occurrences, that he was kidnapped from his bed and made a vampire against his will by a vampire that we know from the books, Magnus. That, us book nerds was like, nerd, like, oh, my nerd lows. Like, yeah. And so we get the mention of Magnus, and, they did a good job with this, where they know that they just made Lestat horrible, but they want us to still sympathize with him and to have some understanding with him. So now we find out that he was stolen from his bed. He was thrown into a dungeon with other men who are in varying stages of death, who look just like him. So he had to witness all of that. He's drained of his blood. Over time, he's begging for death. He's begging to be freed. And he literally has had none of the answers at that point in time, because his maker does that, finally turns him after all of that time, and then tells him, hey, don't go out in the sun, don't do this, here's some money to start you off, and into the fire I go. You're like, did you even make me if you weren't going to be here with me and to do the things? And we see the cycle that it created in Lestat, where in his head he probably thinks, I offered Louis the gift, and he accepted the dark gift. So that's different than what happened to me. So I'm better. Then on top of that, I actually love him, and so that's something different. I'm giving him some level of openness, so that's better. I didn't immediately throw myself into the fire or run off and leave him, to figure out the vampire rules by himself. Like, I'm here. So in his head, it's, like, oh, okay, I'm breaking cycles, generation of curses. Like, you're not, though. Like, you're not, sir. But, okay. Like, okay. So, we get that story there, and we immediately see Louis soften, and like, oh, he's been through that. No, you guys don't understand why he's like this. He's been through things, and I can save him. And Claudia is like, I don't give a shit about that. You just said, you need to kill Antoinette. That's what she's like. I don't hear that bullshit. Kill Antoinette.
Immediately.
Like, you need to go kill her, because we're done with that. We'll have our little, tentative agreement to, live, to coexist. But, yeah.
I don't know why they ever believe anything Lestat says or agrees to. I don't know why.
When the wind blows the other direction, he's going to do what the hell he wants to do either way.
Yep. Ain't no point in making agreements with him. Ain't no point in having him make promises.
But Claudia sees that. Louis the one who doesn't. Or Louis, or matter of fact, I don't even think that Louis doesn't see it. Louis sees it, but he's still in that, like, I can save him. He'll be better. If we're here with him and we give him the things, he'll finally open to us. And that's not what Lestat does. He just ups the ante on his crazy every single time. And now, like we said, with all the time jumps have finally come into play, because they're back going out on the town and seeing and being seen again, and people are like, they still look the same. They still look the same over there at that house. Something is weird over there, and people leaving little talismans on their steps, and Lestat see another one of the moments of clarity with Lestat where he sees the writing on the wall, and he's like, "Yeah, we've stayed here too long. We've been around too
Mm-hmm.
long. Louis, this is the things I told you about. You've involved us in too many human affairs. And us being involved in so many human affairs all these years brings more eyes to us. And that's exactly what's
Mm-hmm.
happening right now." So, yeah, yeah.
I guess everything's coming to a head. This is where we find out what Lestat did to Claudia, right?
That's a little further into the episode
Okay, okay.
because there's the one moment of like of Claudia and Lestat connecting with each other where
Oh, wait.
she agrees with him about Louis hunting
Oh, yes.
animals,
Yeah.
and that it feels like a superiority thing, like, as a vegetarian, I've heard that from people before. I don't think that I particularly do that, but I do know other vegetarians and vegans who do that, and it's like this air of like, oh no, I don't eat meat. So, like, I'm better than you because I don't eat meat. And this, you know, people who eat meat are like, you should act like you're better than me because, oh no, I don't partake in the flesh of animals or the byproducts of it. Whereas I'm a vegetarian, a lot of it is because I just don't like the taste of meat. I just never really liked the taste of meat. And I don't like the way meat smells when it cooks. Like when people cook meat and they're just like, "Ooh, you can smell that." I'm like, "Oh, that's terrible." Like that's terrible. And so it gets like to the phase of like that it's done. But like that phase of like when meat first begins to cook when it's raw, like that beginning
Mm-hmm.
stage of it starting to cook, that smells terrible to me. It's always smelled terrible to me. It's like stomach churning. And you grow up in a black household. You can't say to your parents, like, "I'm not eating meat." At least not in my day and age. You couldn't just be like, "I'm not eating meat no more." Because they're like, "You will eat this damn food that I put on this plate and you will eat what got served you for dinner. You going to be hungry." Like, that's just what it was. But also, grew up in a time period was like, didn't know that, there was other options. And there really weren't
Right.
options like that during that time. So that's like how I mostly got into becoming a vegetarian and stuff. So I was like, oh, let me try this and see if this worked. And I pretty much went cold turkey one day and just stopped eating meat. And it was like, oh, this was easy for me to do and stuff. But I do get from people who will say like, oh, like some vegetarians or vegans have this air about them that, oh no, I would never consume the flesh of it. Like, so that's what Claudia and Lestat are expressing to Louis, that they feel like he's, like, oh no, I don't eat humans, okay? Like, I'm not like you heathens out there just ripping and running and tearing and killing massacring whole families for your bloodlust.
When
I'm
I was
elevated. I'm an
pregnant,
elevated vampire. Okay.
I'm done. When I was pregnant, I felt like a damn vampire. We would like go food shopping and we would get to the meat. And I think it was only when I was pregnant with Tricity that this happened. We would get to the meat and my mouth would start watering with me looking at the steak and the thing. And I was like, what kind of fucking vampire child is inside of me?
Oh Lord,
So,
that was
but yeah, it always makes me wonder, like when vegetarians get pregnant, I'm like, there's just no way. If it was me and I was
mm-hmm.
vegetarian, and then there's no, like, I don't even know how to describe it, but because I would like see people on TV like talk about, oh my god, it just makes my mouth water, and I never
Mm-hmm.
understood, like nothing really ever made my mouth do that. And then I'm looking at raw meat in the damn refrigerator too
Ew.
while I'm pregnant and
Ew.
my mouth water, and I'm like, what is wrong with
Ow.
me? I'm
Like,
like, put that in the cart right now. I need to cook it. Put it in the cart.
terrible. Terrible. We're gonna get Tricity checked out. I don't know.
Because
or
let
your
me tell
body was
you,
like, I need lots of iron. Like, get this iron in me.
I mean, I'm sure that was number one the cause.
Mm-hmm.
But like also this little girl will eat every piece of meat off her plate and look at you like I don't even know what the other stuff is.
Like, I don't
I
even know
don't know
why
what
you
that green
put that
stuff
here.
is. I don't know why you put that white stuff on my plate. I'm definitely not for eating the brown stuff that you mixed in with the white stuff.
She's like,
If the
you're
meat
like,
is
yep.
mixed in, she will figure out a way to get every piece of meat out without touching anything else on the plate.
Mm-hmm. Okay. She pulled
I
the George Bush. She said, you ain't gonna fool me. Can't get fooled again. Fooled again.
was about to say something,
Oh,
and I'm like,
Lord.
people gonna be like, "What did she just?" I'm saying anyway. They should put that on his headstone.
Oh, his headstone. Put it right there. Right there. So, guys, everybody who's listening, again, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for
Yes,
potting with us. But take a moment right now, if you haven't already, and subscribe to us, follow
yes,
us, like us, and send it to a friend or a family member who would enjoy the chaos that we have going on here. Or would enjoy, like, the shows that we watch and the perspectives that we're giving on it. Share it with someone, because we're trying to get our numbers up there, and so we appreciate anything that you're willing to do to help us with that. So thank you.
and later on down the line, we'll be sprinkling some live episodes so that we could
Mm-hmm.
be more interactive, and you guys can come in a chat and talk to us and stuff. Adds a adds another layer. But we're everywhere. If there is a platform, we're on it. Insta,
And
TikTok,
are
Facebook, Twitter, YouTube.
all on
Y'all
the
can
thing.
email us. Oh, and we're on what's the app?
Which
Because my
part?
brain doesn't work right now. Wix. We're on the Wix app.
Oh, okay. Oh, our OG
Or
app.
what is it? Yeah. I don't know if it's like spaces for them or Wix or what. Because we're on the other side of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's one of those guys. You can find us everywhere.
Including our own site, so the Wix apps. But to get to our Wix app, you can just type in noirandnerdy.com and that takes you right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Because look at us. We went and got a domain name. Fancy.
Technically, we got two because I think even if you mistakenly type noir
Yeah.
without the and, you
Mm-hmm.
still get to our website.
Still takes us there. Still takes you there.
And,
We got you. You're our whole world.
and
You're our whole world. Okay? So,
I was
yeah.
gonna say y'all are our Lestat, but no, because he's an ass.
Like, oh, no, not that. Not
Yeah, no,
him.
no, no.
Cause yeah, okay. So what was the next thing that we go to?
That's what I was trying
Oh,
to think.
they Louis caught in the middle because he's trying to, like, why would you guys just get along together
Hmm.
and stuff and like just make things work, and like I don't understand, like he's trying, you should try to. Claudia's like, he's not trying, and he's like, but
Right,
he is, and she's like, he's really not though. Like,
right.
you don't know. But we all can tell that Claudia is not just playing chess with Lestat because she likes to, aggravate him.
Right.
But she's learning. She's learning him.
Hmm.
She's discovering parts of him and what things trigger him and how he behaves once he's triggered. And we see
Hmm.
immediately that she triggers him during that chess game. And he does exactly what we think he's gonna do. He storms off, and we think like, oh, he's sitting there talking to somebody. Who's he talking to? Like, he must be sharing these things with Louis about his upset with Claudia. And no, we pan to goddamn Antoinette, who is still alive. If
I,
there's
I, I
any
just
person that you should have killed, this is the one. You want to come home, you want to pretend that you want to be with Louis and all that shit, but you still got your little dalliance on the side, and then you then brought us her finger to convince this woman that you can chop her. Oh God, to let you chop her finger off. You done turned her into a vampire.
I'm just sick of his ass.
You done turned her into a vampire. Yeah, 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 yeah. Then turns her into a damn vampire, and she's just like you almost want to feel bad for her as a side chick because she's just
Right.
like she's also doing the same thing with Lestat. Lestat, pick me. Like I'm available. Like just leave them and be with me and let's go someplace and let me, you know, become a star someplace. I picked out a new name for myself and everything. And he's like, bitch, please. Like you wish I would choose you.
The really
You
ridiculous
wish.
part.
You better be happy I come on or sneak over here on the days I can sneak over here. You better know your place. You a side bitch. I'm like, damn, what's that?
Mm-hmm. That's the funniest part because she really thought, oh, I'm here to stay now. I'm his girl. You could
Cause
be
she really
anybody,
let
girl.
cause she really let oh, I just need to cut my finger off. Because he probably told her, like, oh, I need to cut your finger off to give them, to convince them to keep you safe. And she probably believed it. Yeah, oh no, he did
Mm-hmm.
that for my safety. Or even if he didn't say it, she spun that story into her head. Because why would he still be here with me if he really wants Louis? He would just be with Louis. But no, he's here with me. So there's got to be some reason that he's still here with me. And of course, Claudia has discovered all of this because, like I said, while they're playing chess, she's learning Lestat's tells. And one is
Mm-hmm.
that she's like, oh, he's up to something. And snuck in, of course, right outside the damn window of the place. They out on the fire escape. And it's like, yeah, Antoinette is still alive. He's a goddamn liar. And I told you he's a liar. I keep trying to prove to you that he's not trustworthy in this
Mm-hmm.
relationship, to be in any relationship. So could you please get it now? Get it through your thick skull. And Louis' response is just like, I know Lestat is terrible. I've always known Lestat is terrible. Like, you're not telling me nothing new here.
It's just so sad. Like, come on, Louis. Get it together, man. So sick of Lestat. I'm so sick of him. I just feel like, I don't know. They tried to think of everything in the world for him to do in this episode to piss me personally the fuck off.
Yeah.
He's just despicable. And it's so funny
Claudia.
because I despise him. But I keep going. At this rate, everyone's going to want him dead and we can't kill him off the show.
Yeah. So Claudia is still she's still plotting. She's still trying to find some way that she can get the Stockholm syndrome out of Louis and like, hey, like what how many things I gotta show you about this dude? Like 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 you were in the bed with him right now. We just saw him with
Right.
Antoinette. What are you
Right.
doing? So she finally gets to again realizing that like, okay, he's always gonna be in this place with Louis, I mean with Lestat, and I'm just gonna have to step away from this again.
Mm-hmm.
So she tries to convince him that, let's get on this train and get the hell up out of here. I'm about to go to these countries. I'm gonna do deeper research. Um, the old vampire lore of, Romania and all of those things. Like they have to have some sort of truth to them. There's got to be some history, some story there that I can't find here. in America that I need to go to the old country to find. And come with me. Let's go do that, because
Mm-hmm.
I do know, like, it's heartbreaking for Claudia, because you're like, you know what she went through with Bruce,
Mm-hmm.
but what's happening here with her family is even more heartbreaking, that she's willing to go back out there and risk something like that happening to her again
Yeah.
to get that connection. So yeah, it's just sad. It's sad. And Louis knows that he's not ready to walk away from his situation with Lestat yet. So all he can do is just tell her that this time I set you free. Go out there and live, and know that you can always come home when you want to, and that I love you, and that I'm here, and but the situation that I have myself trapped in, I don't want you to be trapped in it also.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's heartbreaking. It makes you think about, like, your kids grow up, and you want them to grow up and to be able to go out in their world on their own and survive and do all of that stuff, but then there's still that, like, heartbreak of, like, they're going, like, they're leaving, like, they're going to be out there, and I can't protect them at every single moment, but that's what
Mm-hmm.
life is them being out there by themselves to an extent. And that their experiences are not gonna, like, what I see their experiences is not what their full experience of life has been.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said that, I can't remember who it was. It was saying that your parents or your family knows you up until a certain age, and they kind of stop knowing you after you progress from that age. So it's different from each
Mm-hmm.
person in your life that watch you grow up. But they still always will treat you in that space that they remember you in, that they
Mm-hmm.
regard you in. And they don't see the progression of your life after that. And that's what it kind of is with Louis. Is like, he doesn't see he never saw with his own eyes the progression of Claudia. Well, up to this point, he doesn't see the progression of who Claudia is outside of being his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Who do you feel
But
worse for in this situation? I'm just
yeah,
thinking,
yeah.
everything about Louis' situation is just ridiculous. You're in this horrible situation with this person you barely want to be with, but you're actively choosing to be there.
And yeah, and Daniel. This is another time when Daniel interjects into the interview, and he's just like, "Baby, you're a victim," and he's like, "I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
victim." And he's like, "Yeah, you are." He's like, "All of the things you just said to me and stuff," and he's like, "But you're still romanticizing Lestat and trying to make it seem like, someone should have some sadness for him and some sympathy
Mm-hmm.
for him." And he's like, "He's a monster." And he's like, "You don't understand Lestat like the way I understand Lestat." And you're just like, And he's like, "You should be dragging this man over, or this vampire or whatever, over the coals in this book. But you just like, no, like, you have to understand." It's like, he's like, "What is wrong with you? I don't have time for that." Like, I don't have time for that.
Oh,
And
so we also find out that when they met before was right after Claudia left, right?
wait, who?
I, I feel like we saw a flashback of Daniel meeting Louis for the first time.
I'm trying to think. Do we see? Oh yeah, we do see that. It was, yeah. That's at the end of the episode.
Oh,
I think
okay,
that's at the end
okay,
of the
okay,
episode. Yeah, I think that's at
okay.
the end of the episode. That's at the end, because again, there's another part in in episode 6 where Rashid comes in and he's talking because Daniel's pushing for more information, and he's pushing for more information, and he's, like, I don't have time for this bullshit and stuff. And Louis offers him the gift, the dark gift, which is like, because he just offers it so cavalier too. Like, oh, like, I can turn you to a vampire right now. You get to, watch your daughters get married and blah blah blah. And he was like, yeah, I have to watch them get old and die, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm still me, and they're gonna be looking like they're the same age. Like, how you just told me that all of those things didn't work in your life, so why would you offer me to become a vampire knowing that these things? Again, it's like with Louis, where you're like, you think that the lesson he's trying to teach is one thing, and then he says something contrary to that, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
what are you doing? I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
What is? And then that's the moments where Rashid comes in. It's like, don't offer people the dark gift. Offer me the dark gift. And also, Daniel, who you talking to like that? Don't talk to Louis like that. Like, why are you talking to him like that? Like, I'm not gonna stand here and let you talk to him like that. And yeah, when we get to the end of episode 7, there's another like moment in this that we'll be able to talk about there, where it's just like, I don't like I don't like the way you're saying these things, Daniel. There's some things I don't like the way you're saying them. I don't like the way things are implied with the way you're saying them. Like, but Rashid is like, you know what? I'm not gonna let you talk to me like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of here. And I was like, and that's right, Rashid. You don't have to put up with his shit. I don't care if he's sick. I don't care if Louis called him for his interview. You recuse yourself from this situation. And that's what he does. I was like, good for you, Rashid. Let this man come here, talk to you any type of way. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
She
No.
didn't playing with Daniel's ass. Okay, so would it be back to the past now?
Yeah, Louis, he thinks that Claudia left on the train.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So he's despondent, comes home, there's some more hoodoo on the damn steps, and comes into the house, and he's like, what's that? I ain't time for this shit. I'm in despair. Like, will you please stop? They don't have time for your shenanigans. And then he's like, well, Claudia, she tried to leave tonight. And he's like, oh shit, and she done escaped. Again, he's like, what is your problem? You wanted to have me to yourself. You have me. You got Antoinette. You're saying Claudia is a thorn in your ass, and you don't really want her here. Okay, so then let her. Why did you just let her leave?
Right. I don't understand.
But he knows deep down that if he lets Claudia leave, that that's a surefire way for him to lose Louis.
Mm-hmm.
So he does the most dramatic thing that gets on a damn train car, kills the damn conductor, comes into the car with the man's head. He gets on my nerves, but he's funny. He's a goddamn comedian. I would have been in that train car like, so you gonna bring the conductor's head in here, huh? I'm tired of your shit. You know what?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Move. I'm going to fuck home because I don't time for you and your nonsense. My damn nerve.
Put his fucking head back on his body.
And he's just like, nope. You're gonna come home. You're gonna make him happy. They're like, do you want him to come home? Do you want me to come home and make him happy so that you can still have your dalliances? Or do you actually want him to be happy? Because you know that there are things you can do to help him be happy, but you don't want to do
Mm-hmm.
them. Because if you want me to come home and you know that me being home would make him happy, why can't you just at least try to get along with me? No.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like we all know, as Lestat is the Brat Prince. Mr. DeLone Colt. he doesn't know how to behave himself. So we have to go to this cycle where he forces Claudia to come home, and which then forces Claudia's hand because now she's like, "Oh, you're home. You forced me to come home. You won't allow me to leave. And I got something for your ass."
Mm-hmm.
All that reading you that I was doing before, figuring out how you move, and now I'm gonna put it in. I'm gonna implement a grand plan. You should have just let me leave, is what she's telling him. Like, yeah, you should have just let me leave. And I like the that he knows damn well that Claudia and Louis are having conversations that he's not privy to.
Oh yeah.
They're playing chess where he's like, I know damn well they're having conversations right here in front of me. They're disrespectful as hell. But he thinks
I
he's so
love it.
damn
I said,
smart.
keep doing it. Keep doing it.
And again, it goes into Claudia's grand plan. So he plays right
Mm-hmm.
into her hands with her doing it
I
right
mean,
right under his nose.
he's so erratic in his choices that he has become predictable in a way,
Mm-hmm.
as far as like knowing how he's gonna respond to certain things and knowing, how something's gonna make him feel and what he would do next. Like she had all that stuff down pat.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He said some shit like Louis couldn't grip an apple off a tree in the state he's in right now.
He is disrespectful. You were like, you are disrespectful. But that was so
Mhm.
true. But again, even with like you said, like there's those times with Lestat where you just like, I will punch you in your head. But that was hilarious what you said and absolutely true.
Yes.
But also, you're not acknowledging that the reason he's in the state he's in is because of you.
Mm-hmm.
No accountability. You're not ever gonna say, you know what, I did this. I should have been a little more forthcoming with him. Blah blah blah. Like something. No. He's like, well, he knows that I'm a brat, so he's supposed to just always put up for thousands of years, however long vampires are gonna be out here. He got to put up with this for you all this time because to Lestat,
Like,
the goal, he's getting access to me. That's the ultimate prize. You're getting me. Do you know how many people would want me? Annoying.
go find them. Go find them, Lestat, because we sick of you. We sick of your ass.
But yeah,
Beyond sick of your ass.
pouting like a big ass baby because Claudia bested him in the chess match finally.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what propels her plan into motion.
Mm-hmm.
Because now she's finally realized, okay, I broke through his walls, and now I know how to squeeze him to get what I want out of him.
Mm-hmm.
And by knowing that, I know how to be the way he's always been a couple of steps ahead of us. Now I know how to be a couple of steps ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
So we get so now we get the part that you were talking about. Because Louis telling his story. He's telling this part of the story
Oh,
about
okay.
how Claudia tells him that we're gonna kill Lestat.
Mm-hmm.
and he agrees, which is like, what?
Right.
You would never think that he would like the way he immediately like went with it was like, wow, like you immediately went with the plan.
And you know what's funny? I know this is fiction and shit, but I promise you, it immediately reminded me of true crime. I said, that's how thin that line is
Mm-hmm.
between this is how much I love you and this is how much I want to kill you.
Mm-hmm. Thin
Because
line
he just
between love
popped
and
right
hate.
on over. Oh, we killing him? Okay.
Like, because part of
Yeah, I
him
was
knows
appalled.
also that he's not strong enough to
Right.
break away from him. So he's like, all right, if we get rid of him all the way, then I don't have to make the decision to walk away from him. The decision will be made for me.
Right. And I feel like, it may not be a constant, but I'm sure he's had plenty of moments of just wanting to rip Lestat's head off. So catch him in the right moment. Yeah, he's gonna agree. Like, yep, let's do it. Fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
But I think there's also a part of him that also is like, having, gone through the abuse with
Yeah.
Lestat. Like, how are we going? Like, we're not going to be able to. Even though we're
Right.
saying this, is like, I think in part of his head is kind of like when you're mad at your parents when you're a teenager, you're like, I hate them. As soon as I get older, I'll
Mm-hmm.
move. I'll never see them again and stuff. And you're like, you don't mean that. You're just saying that because you're frustrated in the situation. So
Yeah.
I kind of think like him saying like, yeah, let's kill him is him just being in the frustration at that moment. But
Yeah.
he subconsciously is like, there's no way we could actually pull this off.
Right.
Like this isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying this to Claudia to kind of appease her, and it also gives me a sense of like I'm being proactive and trying to free myself from a situation that I know
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the courage or the strength to do on my own. But yeah, we're all shocked. At least I think I was shocked. I was like, you would just agree to that real quick, sir.
Right.
Damn. Okay. But Louis passionately telling this part of the story, and then he looks over and damn Daniel snoring on the couch. He's like, "A damn story," and he wouldn't even listen to the goddamn story this whole time. Is he
I'm
falling
like, is
asleep
that
over
the
there?
invisible? Look, is that the invisible doctor's fault?
Yep. He's like, I'm not, because I'm like, I'm not telling this part again. You gonna listen to them tapes when you get up.
Right.
You will listen to the tapes when you get up because I'm not starting this all over again, sir. No, I'm not doing it. So now we get to the part that you were talking about. So he has the dream
Okay. Okay. Yes.
of San
So
Francisco.
now, again, a part I had to watch a couple times because a dream could be a dream, or a
Mm-hmm.
dream could be like a memory. And so at first
Mm-hmm.
I was like, is he hallucinating in his like it took me a while to figure out, okay, no, this is actually something that like happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then at first I was like, did I sense attraction? I swear I was like, I think I sense attraction in this meeting that we're having.
Young Daniel is in the gay bar.
Right. True. Yeah.
He is in the gay bar. So
This is true.
and he's in the gay bar during a time when because we talk about pride anyway. But I'm like, um, it's a time in history where a straight man would be seemingly more fearful of going into that environment.
Right. Right.
Um, and we know from Louis' life and the life of many other people who are gay that, or on the rainbow spectrum, as I'll have to call it, that there's a process of becoming
Mm-hmm.
yourself, of realizing who you are, and then also with that realization that about what acceptance is going to look like for you, and
Right.
whether it's something that you're seeking or and from whom you're going to seek it from. So
Mm-hmm.
we saw that with Louis with his sexuality. So perhaps he's looking at young Daniel and saying, even though he's saying, "Oh no, I'm just a reporter. I'm just a journalist. I'm just a writer that's hanging out in this bar because it's a good place to get stories and to get high." So, because yeah, it is the '70s, so this was the disco era where
Right.
Studio 54 and the parties and the poppers and the, you know, getting a bump and then doing a line and
Mm-hmm.
partying was a lot more normal. And, you know, maybe you did those things because it gave you the excuse to do the things that you wanted to do. So maybe he's thinking that that's what young Daniel is there for. But, you know, from our perspective, we know that Louis can read his mind.
Right.
So what is he reading in young Daniel's mind?
Right.
Like, what is he reading in young Daniel's mind?
Hmm.
So they go back and forth, and young Daniel's like, "Hey, you know, you seem like somebody good to interview. Like maybe I should do this with you." And there's some agreement there after you know, talk of how Louis' name sounds exotic, Louis depointedulac.
Mm-hmm.
Cause yeah, you imagine you go outside tomorrow and you meet somebody and their name is some, like, they look like a regular person, but their name is some
Right.
weird exotic thing, and you're like, that's not like, even when you're like, oh, you get the generation, you know, oh, I'm named after my grandfather, great grandfather, great great grandfather. The names still aren't on that level. So you see that
Right.
American,
Right.
you see that Amex, and it's Louis depointedulac on it. Like, what? And then you, of course, you're going to be extra intrigued because you have before you what you know, society sees as a black man, and then he tells you that his name is from an ancestor who owned slaves. You're like, owned a plantation. You're like,
Right. Yeah.
what? That's a story that you want to get as a journalist, as a writer.
Mm-hmm.
Even if just a person who's sitting at a bar with a person, like, oh, I need to hear this story.
Right.
So even beyond the offer of drugs, even beyond the offer of drugs, Daniel was in to hear the story,
Mm-hmm.
and Louis doesn't lie to him because he's like, and what are you? He's like, I'm a vampire. Ha ha. Yeah, he's not lying. He's not lying to you, sir. But you're gonna find out apparently. And
Sooner
then,
rather than later.
mm-hmm. And then comes the part that is up for interpretation for us at this point, because it's like you said, is this a dream?
Mm-hmm.
And Daniel's, from his medication, is the dream also, is his current reality altering what his dream is, or is
Mm-hmm.
this a memory that has
Right.
somehow been awakened? Because Rashid's in the dream. The hell are you
Yeah.
doing here? What are you doing here? So
That's
we're
what I
like,
said. So either some fuckery is going on here or he's hallucinating.
and that's how we end the episode. You're like,
Mm-hmm. Right at the
um,
fuckery.
yep. Daniel wakes up with the start on the couch with the blanket that Rashid brought him and covered him up with so nicely. After Louis was like, "Hey, go get him a blanket." It was like, that was one of the moments. Like, there's some moments in here with Louis when he's like with Rashid, and you're just like, who's talking to? Like, you know, we're still trying to figure out what the dynamic in their relationship is. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Rashid refers to him before as like a god, but that might be another little Easter egg there. Because who is he referring to when he's referring to that? But he's, you know, like, he has this full respect, but also enamored by Louis. And we're still trying to figure out what the dynamic of their relationship is. Like, you know, are you
Mm-hmm.
just like a lead henchman that's so devoted to the cause?
Right.
Like, is that what you are? Like, what's happening here? Because you're going super hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're going super hard. But at the same time, Louis is just like really treating you a lot of times like you're the help. Like, let me bite you, get Daniel a doctor, you know,
Mm-hmm.
make sure Daniel does I'm not his nurse. What are you, even I signed on to be a part with you and to follow you and go with your course and stuff. I'm putting up with this old disgruntled old man
Cranky old.
curmudgeon. Like, why am I putting up with him? Because you wanted to do this interview. Why am I in this? So yeah. Again, we'll touch on that again when we get to end of episode 7, because then we'll be able to talk about some more things.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. So that's how we end episode 6. So what's your final thoughts on 5 and 6 from?
Feel like it's so crazy because usually you feel like the ramp up is for the finale. And like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we are ramping up for the finale, but more than that, I feel like the ramp up is for season 2,
Mm-hmm.
which for the people waiting was torture. But for the people that maybe didn't watch season 1 until season 2 was coming, lucky you.
But
But
yeah, especially for us people, that's I wonder what it, because like you said, there each group of people have a different like anticipation. So people like us who read the books and know some of the things that are coming, we're like, ooh, oh my God, when are we going to get to that? Are we going to get to
right,
that? Will
yeah,
that be developed from the book versus the way in the movies certain parts were completely ignored
mm-hmm,
or revamped because they wanted to, move away from, the homoerotic tones. Like there's all of these things that, we're like, that are possibilities now with the way this universe
right,
is unfolding before us. And then there's people who know nothing about any of it, and just watching the series is their whole story,
mm-hmm,
and them having to wait for season 2 to get to, some more of the answers that
mm-hmm.
are undoubtedly there.
Um, I swear I don't know how they did it because they packed so much shit into these 2 episodes. I mean, honestly, this whole season has been like chock full of information and just so much story. But I think that the absolute torture that they put us through in these 2 episodes, just watching like disaster after disaster happen to Louis and Lestat being more and more of an ass. No, the ramp up is being done very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
How would you
because
rate it in
originally.
comparison?
No, no, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, how would you rate it in comparison to like how things in the book played out?
You know what? And I was like, when I came into this, when they first made the announcement for the show, one, I'm immediately excited because I'm just like, they like my books and they're gonna make it a whole universe. And finally, Anne Rice agreed to like let the stuff be out there, and I was just like so excited for that part. Um, and I thought that it would like lean more towards the way the movies did. And then when I started to
Mm-hmm.
see, you start to hit a cast and you're like, wait, how does that gonna work? Because when Sam Reed, of course, you're like, oh yeah, like you know what? I'm not gonna lie. When I first heard Sam Reed, I was like, I don't know if he's gonna be my Lestat. Like, I don't know. I have to see. I'll have to see. Like, I don't know if he can bring it, and he's totally is just like move over Tom Cruise. Like this is like not that he's like this is So I have my movie Lestat and I have my series Lestat now. Like equal footing. Is like every episode with Sam Reed is just like, sir, please, can you get off of our neck, please? Like, what are you doing? Like, he's just bringing so much more of the levels of Lestat that are in the books,
Mm-hmm.
that are all there. That you read the books, or if you finish watching the series, if it gets to, because yeah, that was what I was going to say. That originally, Interview with a Vampire was only supposed to be the one season, and then they were like, no, it's too much story to tell. We have to tell it in 2 seasons. So the hope is that season 3, or I don't know if they're going to rename it and it'll be a new series that's the Vampire Lestat, or if they'll do Interview with a Vampire season 3 and that will be the Vampire Lestat book. But that's the plan. So hopefully that happens. So everybody go watch, because we need the ratings so that we can get to season 3, so we can get that. And hopefully the Immortal Universe continues from there, because we have the Mayflower Witches. But we also would like to get into the follow-up books. The follow-up books, Queen of the Damned and uh, the Body Thief, where I was like, is that too much of a spoiler? Lestat, he gets a little, he gets a little comeuppance in that, but gets a little comeuppance in that, but and then we get to Armand's book. But Jacob Anderson, like you know him as an actor, you've seen him in other things, and you're like, oh, he's gonna absolutely bring it. Like there was no doubt there at all. It was just like, again, it was just like, for me, it was like, wait, how's a black man going? How's this? But the way they turned the story around to include him and to touch on the issues that arise with a black person, a person of color in New Orleans, when there's the caste system, and when they change the time period to something that's closer to Jim Crow, and then you add economic systems on top of that, and then you add homosexuality and imbalance in relationship. Like, there's so much that's there, and Jacob is just like, oh, I could do that, no
Right.
problem, smooth. It's never gonna make it seem like like some things that deal with those issues that we endure is a lot of like trauma porn gets put out there. And with this, it doesn't feel that way. It touches on all the subjects. It doesn't pretend it's not happening, but it doesn't do it in a grotesque way where you're like, oh,
Right.
they just came here to to drum up that the horrible past, and I don't want to deal with that. But there's a great balance here. And I think Jacob had some influence into like, this is how the story is going to be portrayed. But him as Louis, with the heartbreak and the tortured soul, and yeah, he's given all of that. He's given all of it. It's just like the series just beyond my expectations, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm in it. I'm in it. I'm in it. I'm in it.
In it to win
Like, I can't wait. I can't wait for more stuff to come. This is gonna be so
If
good.
you are
So
listening
good.
to this now, episode 7 will probably be out in a day or two after you listen to this.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope you get used to these voices, because they will be around all summer long.
And again, I apologize for my French. It's terrible. Um, and if there's any French people listening, let me know how terrible it is. And should I, affect a little more of a French accent when I'm speaking, or it was like, yeah, because My normal tone of voice is like, ugh. When I hear it, I'm like, ah, ah, this is terrible. So yeah. So
Well,
again, thank you for listening to it because I hear it. I'm like, ow, I'm sorry.
I was just about to say thank you for listening to us. We'll be right back very soon, so I'm not going to say much of an outro, except thank you, and we will talk to you in a couple of days.
Merci beaucoup.